I want to talk today about a few things. I intend to answer any questions you may have, so feel free to drop those down here in the chat. First and foremost, I think there is a huge misconception as to what I do and why I do it. So I kind of want to put this out there. With the Supershea tutorials channel, I get a lot of hate. I get a lot of hate, especially from my own community, the martial arts community, and I'm trying to dispel some of, I think, the stigma behind what I do on my channel. Uh, what I do on my channel is a direct result of kind of taking the weaponry stuff that I learn in the school I teach at, in the style that I train in, and thinking something that my mom told me for years, God rest her soul, but she told me you never know what you can do until you try. And when I started picking up weaponry and such, I learned some amazing skills, combat related skills. But then I thought, well, I wonder if I can do more. I wonder if there's more that is physically possible with this particular weapon, and originally it was staff. That was the first weapon I ever learned, and it kind of built up from there. But the main key factors were the point that there's no one way to use these things. There's no one correct way to use the weapons. If you want to learn to swing a stick at people, then you can take baseball. It's going to teach you the same thing. But when it boils down to it, the visual and the fun, the concentration that it takes, the focus on every little detail of what the weapon does, how it acts, how the forces around you cause it to move, and how your body can cause it to move through its movement. It fascinated me, and it really, really brought me to a point of looking at the weapon as, yeah, in some cases a showpiece, but also as, hey, I wonder if I can pull this off. Because if I can, then there's no telling what else I can do. So I started experimenting, and I started, playing around with, hey, I wonder if I can make this happen. And, started with basic, early stage tricking type stuff with like hand rolls, wrist rolls, whatever you want to call them. Same move, different name. But I started experimenting with stuff like that. And it eventually brought me to a point where once I got that, I was like, hey, I wonder what else this thing can do. So I started looking up things and researching what other people were doing with it. So I learned from many, many martial artists, from many, contact staff, wielders, fire staff, and I just watch these videos and I'd pick out little things here and there. Hey, I bet I could do that. And I started working with them, and I started putting them together. And, after a while, I had a decent repertoire of moves that I could pull. So I started putting them into forms and meshing them with the combat style stuff that I've learned. And I ended up creating a lot of really fun stuff that people genuinely wanted to learn at the school. So I started teaching them what I was learning. Hello, Kiwi, how are you? But I started out with just, this limited amount of things that I could do. And I thought, hey, I have this staff and I can roll it over the back of my hand. What else can it do? So I start rolling it around my neck, and I'd look these things up, and I was like amazed at what people were doing. And I was like, how does that work? So that at that point I was hooked, and I started looking up all the information I could find on how to make these different movements happen, and what else was absolutely possible, and what else we could, think of to do on our own. And it became this huge thing for me, and people around me started liking what I was doing. So I started teaching them some of the stuff, and they had a blast. The amount of focus and concentration, the amount of skill that it takes to make these things happen is astounding. I mean, it takes so much just to make one set of moves happen. And if you don't believe me, pick up a staff and try it. The first few times, it's probably not going to happen. The staff will hit you or drop down to the ground, and then you pick it up and you try again, and it hits you again, and it hits the ground again, and you pick it up and you try again. And it's this constant routine of practice. So basically, what I'm saying is this channel is not a nod to how awesome I am. It's more of a fact of the hard work that went into learning these moves, which is why I'm not afraid to post videos of me working on a new move and failing miserably. Don't believe me? I literally have a playlist of Supershea fails. And let's get to that for a second. The name Supershea. So this came about not from me. I'm not the one that named this. This came from a group of my students that I was teaching. This is back 2013, and it was right around October, getting close to Halloween. And I'm teaching a class with this group, and I'm like, hey, what are y'all going to be for Halloween? And they're all telling me what they're going to be. This one's going to be that one's going to be this. And then one of them asked me, what am I going to be? I was like, I don't know, maybe Superman, I don't know. And immediately, without skipping a beat, that exact student says, oh my God, it's Supershea. And the name stuck. The kids at the school started calling me Supershea, and I named this channel Supershea Tutorials as an homage to that, as a thank you to those students. They were the ones that really brought about the Supershea moniker. It had absolutely nothing to do with me, and nothing to do with me thinking, oh God, I am so incredibly awesome. Everybody needs to know that I'm a superhero. No, it had nothing to do with that. This was all about my students and kind of paying tribute to them for the name that they gave me, the namesake. And then, it started growing, and the channel started growing. I started the channel based around our school, because the way we teach is every 2 months we switch weapons. And then during tournament months, it's whatever weapon they want to use. Well, I got to thinking, well, if we train on a weapon for 2 months, they probably aren't going to see it for another year. So once that weapon comes around again, it's like, well, I got to start all over. But I thought, what if we had a channel on one of these video platforms that they could continue working with said weapon all year round and get really good at it if they find one that they really like. And the whole physics thing just fascinated me with how can we make this weapon do something unexpected. And it's a beautiful thing when you teach someone their first trick, and you see them fail a few times, and then all of a sudden they get it, and their eyes pop wide open. They're like, oh my God, I just did that. And it's amazing feeling. And I get that same feeling when I'm doing my movements. When I'm creating these forms and putting these tricks in and learning new tricks, which I am right now. I'm still working on the monster roll / matrix, whatever you want to call it. Same move, different name, different group of people. But when I'm working on a move, it's not a automatic, hey, I'm going to do that, and boom, there it is. No, it's a long process of failures. And I am a firm believer that failure is not the end. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the stepping stone to success. It's the process by which you go to succeed. I've failed more times than most people have ever tried. And I feel like that is what has gotten me to where I am. But feel free to drop any questions you have regarding, what I do, the weaponry stuff, the gaming stuff, anything. I'll talk about anything. But with this channel, I'm paying homage to the students that created the Supershea moniker. It had nothing to do with me whatsoever. But I get a lot of I get a lot of hate from my own community, the martial arts community, and I feel like it's because they take the namesake as an ego thing, which it absolutely is not. It's just, it's one of those things that I feel like they take as arrogance, but they don't know the story. Especially on these platforms where, we're getting people from all over the world, you know, and they've never met me personally, seen my classes personally, you know, seen the interactions I have with my students. They've never been a part of that. So it's really hard for them to understand, hey, this whole namesake, it looks pretty arrogant to me. No, it's not. It has nothing to do with arrogance. I have worked for 23 years in the martial arts industry, and I've taught thousands and thousands of students, and I've been very successful at that. And they're the ones that named me, quite honestly. Uh, and it was all out of a complete joke. It was all out of Halloween. Hey, what are you going to be? And that was the start of it. But the other things that I wanted to kind of get into is, a lot of people, 23, yes, 23 years. Yes, 23 years I've devoted of my life to the martial arts, which is half of my life, literally. Yeah, it's a lot. I've put a lot of time in, 23 years into the martial arts. Yeah, that's a long time. And, doing the basics is phenomenal. You can never get enough basics. You can never get enough fundamentals. And then after a while, doing those, you're like, okay, I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on this. What else can I do? What else can I make this do? Because I'm going to be completely honest with you, in the martial arts industry, probably 90% of the people that are taking classes will never ever have to use it. I mean, that's the fact of the matter. Typically, around 90% of people that take martial arts will never have to use it to defend themselves, because they're not out looking for fights. They're not, putting themselves into bad positions. They're not getting into dangerous situations. Most people are just going to use this as a tool for self-reflection, self-improvement, and they will use it as a course of inner peace. And that comes along with the territory. When you learn these things and you start seeing yourself improving at them, there is an incredible feeling of accomplishment and of, hey, I just did that. I never knew I could do that. And it's a wonderful, wonderful feeling. And it changes people inside and out. And I've seen it happen. It's happened to me. But going through this whole process of, failure, 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 success, that whole process is kind of what life is all about. When you go through life, you're not going to succeed at everything you do right off the bat. Most people get on a bike and they fall immediately, and then they have to get back on that bike. And then maybe they go a little bit further and they fall again. And they get back on the bike, they go a little further than that, and they fall again, until finally they can ride without falling, for the most part. Even after I learned to ride, I fell a few times, just saying. But the message basically, I guess, is that you never know what you can do until you try. And once you try, you need to keep trying until you succeed. The channel itself, this is not a nod to how many cool things I can do and how many awesome things I've done and this, that, and it's a nod to my students. And hey, if you enjoy this weapon, here's some things that you can do with it. Here's a way that you can continue to practice with that weapon if you want to get better at it. And that was the whole premise of this channel to begin with. And then it grew, and it grew some more. And finally, like I said in my last live, it took 4 years and well over 500 videos, but it finally hit 1,000 subscribers about a week ago. And I am absolutely beside myself with that. I elated, and I thank everybody that's ever joined into this channel, that's ever subscribed, ever watched a video, ever come onto this live, which I literally only started last week. That was my first one, really. But I just want to say thank you to all of you. And if there's anything at all that you want to see, you want to learn, you want to see if it can be done, by all means, drop me a line. Go down in the chat here or check out one of the videos. Put in put in something that you want to be done. If you see one of the tricks, hey, I like that, but could you do this? Yeah, by all means. I am always up for a good challenge. I love learning new things. I love learning martial arts, period. I love learning weaponry. I love learning tricking, contact staff, uh, flow arts. And all of those things mesh together, make this beautiful, beautiful kata form, whatever you want to call it. When you put them all together, they all complement each other and make everything look really, really visually pleasing and combatively accurate. You know, yes, you're never ever gonna, have somebody charging at you, toss your bow, and be like, "Hey, I win." No, it doesn't work that way. But in many cases, what I've been told and what I firmly believe is that the ultimate goal of martial arts is to never actually have to use it. That is the ultimate goal, because if you can get away without ever having to use it, that means that you had a peaceful life. And that's kind of what we push for. We want a peaceful life. We don't want, battles. We want to know that we can if we have to. There's old proverb, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. And that's kind of the philosophy that we take. So I know how to strike with a staff. The ultimate goal, that seems reasonable. Yeah, I mean, it really is. Because I teach this to all my students, every single class. There is really no winner in a fight, period. One person, they get hurt, right? Because they lose the fight. And the other person gets in trouble for beating them up. That's called assault. And really, in my view, that holds true in pretty much all situations. So, yes, if you're backed into a corner and have no other options, yeah, absolutely defend yourself. But if there's any other way out of it, get out of it. There's no reason to do it if you don't absolutely have to. There's far too many better things you could be doing in your life than, getting into physical conflicts and all that. So that is never, ever, ever our goal as martial artists. Our goal is to learn this stuff so that should we ever be in that position, we can, but we don't want to. That is I believe, the best mentality you can take when you join martial arts. If you join martial arts, is that I don't ever want to have to use this, but if I do, it's good to know that I can. And, on this channel, nothing I've done reflects anything that I've ever learned in the karate school itself. I don't like putting, the style that I train in out there because A, it's not my style. It is somebody else's creation. Number two, it's not good to tip your hand. If you're a card playing person, you don't tip your hand and show the other person what you got. So I kind of leave that out, and I do the fun stuff on this channel because it does attract better. but that's not the main reason. It's because I have learned these skills over the course of years that I can share with other people, and it breeds confidence, it breeds focus, it breeds concentration, it breeds self-respect, which is a huge deal these days. I feel like a lot of people are lacking in that, and it needs to be something that when you nail a trick down, you get this unbelievable rush. There's a feeling inside of you that's like, oh my God, I just did that. And I think if more people felt that and started feeling better about their capabilities, if they understood what they're really, really capable of, I believe that we could make a beautiful world. When we realize that everything around us is throwing negativity at us, everything around us, the news, it's all bad. But when we realize the amazing things that we can do that nobody ever told us we could do, it changes a person and it makes them want to do more of it. I want to do good by people. I want to help people feel good about themselves. I want to help people feel good about their life and their surroundings. And, you know, with as little control as we have over it, I want people to feel like, hey, I can make a difference. And I feel like with this channel, I kind of have a little bit. I've done a segment many, many times. It's usually the least watched. It's called Monday Motivations. Um, Most people don't watch it because it's me talky instead of me staffing or sorting or commenting or chucking or whatever term you want to use. Me doing my weapons trick stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the comments I get are really, really nasty ones from martial artists that calling me names, cheerleader this, majorette that. But uh, you know, I kind of take that as that whole belief in the arrogance, which is not the purpose. Yeah, I want to help people. I want to give people confidence. That is probably about 80% of what I do at the karate school is when we're teaching someone and they start learning everything that we're teaching them and they start doing these things, it builds confidence. It builds confidence in their abilities, confidence in themselves and what they're capable of. And that is the most important thing you can give somebody. Tearing people down helps absolutely no one. It doesn't even help the person that's doing it. You know, they still get to feel empty and they're making somebody else feel worse. How does that help? You know, uh, the whole, major at this, cheerleader that, whatever. It's, I've gotten used to it. It used to bother me a lot. Like I had a short fuse and I'm kind of a local yokel, so I think fast, I talk fast, and sometimes, well, most times, the things that happen here come out here before the filter gets a hold of it. So, yeah, I've gone off on a few people, a lot of people, but typically I don't go get unhinged until they make it personal and bring my family into or whatever, which they have no business doing because they've never met them. They don't know anything about them, but it got under my skin. Uh, and I'm trying to improve and understand that they have zero understanding of who I am as a person, what my life is like in general, and what I do and why I do it. So I'm starting to get a grip on a lot of that. It's not the easiest thing to do, uh, especially when you're getting bombarded with that kind of with negativity. And I keep pushing through because at some point I feel like I was given a gift and I want to help other people obtain said gift. because, it's not from me. It's from a higher power, God, Allah, whatever you want to believe in. I personally, I believe in God. I believe in Jesus, all that stuff. But I digress from that. The point being, uh, you know, what was given to me, I want to pass along because I know it's changed my life. And I know it's made me a better person. It's made me feel better about myself. And it's made me realize that, hey, maybe I have something to offer the world that, a group of people can latch onto and feel better about themselves as well. Because I mean, that's really what it's all about, is helping other people. I don't care about, what it does for me. I'm not monetized. I make 0 cents on this. I make zero. I have yet to make a penny. But I do it because I love it, and I feel like in the end, somewhere, somehow, this is going to help someone. It's going to help somebody believe that they can do things that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to do. It's going to help people build that confidence within themselves, and, maybe give it to someone else. I figure if I can give confidence to one person, maybe they can give it to one person, and they can give it to one person, and, it blossoms into this huge thing. And when people feel good, man, there's no stopping them. There's a fire that gets lit that there's nothing that they cannot do. And that's the point I feel like I have gotten to, is I feel like if I can see something, I can do it. If I see these movements and I see what has been done, I can create something with that and put it out there for other people to learn, and maybe they can get that same feeling. That's what I want my channel to be about. That was always the goal. It was always the goal to put this channel up and have people feel good about themselves, build confidence in themselves, do things that they never thought imaginable. And I never imagined that I would be doing what I do, quite honestly. I never in a million years thought I'd be able to do all the things that I do with the weapons that I do it with. I never thought I would be able to have a job that I love with all my heart, all my soul. I put my passion in, and go to work every day and not feel like I'm working. I feel like I'm having fun. And when you do that, a wiser person than myself said, you find a position that you have a passion for, and you will never work a day in your life. Well, that's because it doesn't feel like work. I am working, but it doesn't feel like work because I'm having fun doing it. I'm loving it, and I'm loving every second of it. And I love making content. I love making videos. I put out weapon videos. I put out goofy little comedy skit videos with my kids and with my wife. And, we have several different channels that we do. We have our Supershea gaming channel. My boys and I do video game stuff there. My wife and I, we do all kinds of skits on her channel. Uh, I do weapon stuff and martial arts stuff on this channel. Both of my boys have gaming channels of their own. We are a family of content creators, and we enjoy the heck out of it. Love doing it. It does get frustrating sometimes, especially when you start getting those negative comments. Yes, he does, Jeremiah. He does, he does, he does. And he's done amazing things in my life. And I'm looking forward to all the things he intends to continue doing. That is my belief. I don't push my belief on anybody else. I tell you that I am a believer. You don't have to be. No, there is no religion that is going to make you a better martial artist, a better staff spinner, wielder, whatever you want to call it. But I believe that it was a gift given to me from God Almighty, and I believe that He gave it to me for a purpose. And I believe that maybe this is the purpose. Maybe the purpose of me getting the gifts that I was given was to put all this kind of content out and, go on live and talk with people and, give them what my heart and my soul has experienced. And maybe that will help somebody else in their life. And if you feel that, I highly recommend give it a shot. Maybe pick up a staff, maybe pick up a sword, not a real one. I would start with a dull blade, uh, a demo sword, but I digress. Maybe a foam sword. Anyways, that's beside the point. But if you have ever watched anything I've done and been like, oh my God, that was awesome, that was really cool. Guess what? It doesn't take a superhuman to learn it. Anybody can do this. I'm old. I'm 46 years old and I'm still learning new tricking stuff. Yes, I started earlier. I started when I was like, I want to say 24, 25 learning that stuff, but it hasn't stopped me from continuing to learn. And I continue to hit myself with my weapon. I get hit in the face every other day, all over my body. If there's a part of my body, I've probably gotten hit with one of my weapons. Yeah, I'm 46 years old. 46. And I am still tricking just because of the feeling that it gives me. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. That means the world to me. I don't know the secret. I have a feeling that it has something to do with what I do. I get to hang out with kids all day long, so I kind of act like a kid. I do kiddie type of things. Routinely, I tell my kids ask how old I am. In the karate school, and I'm like, I'm 4 years old. I used to be I used to be this many, and now I'm 4 years old. And that I don't know. I think doing martial arts, being active, doing all the stuff I do, I think that kind of helps. Because it does take a lot of physical work, physical attributes to do what I do. It takes a lot of athleticism. It takes a lot of hard work. Man, that's what it's really all about. With a lot of hard work, anybody can do any of the things that I do on this channel. I don't care who you are. I don't care how old you are. Anybody can do what I do on this channel. And all it takes is some time, some effort, some practice, and perseverance. Perseverance is the key because I guarantee you, you're not going to get all of them on the first try. Just not. But you can get them if you're willing to put in the work. And that's what I had to do. I had to go through the same process. It took me years to get to the point that I can do some of the stuff that I can now. And it took many, many instructors, many videos, many different styles of wielders, weaponry wielders, to learn all of the things that I've learned. Uh, I pay homage to Michelle C. Smith. She is she was a baton champion who has transferred all of her baton information over to bow staff. I attribute a lot of it to my instructors, to videos I've watched from other martial artists, Jackson Rudolph, Matt Emig, all these XMA martial artists. They're doing unbelievably crazy things that I still feel like, okay, I'm probably never going to be able to do that. They're doing all the flips and spins and stuff. It's crazy, like physically with their bodies. I figure I'm 46. I'm a little old for that. I break a hip, it ain't gonna fix. But that's on me. That is my mentality. Um, I know as a fact that as you get older, healing time takes longer, and I've felt the effects of that over the last several years. But it doesn't stop me from doing what I love doing. I love tricking with the weaponry, and I try to keep to the weapon itself. I don't do jumping, flipping stuff. That's not me. I use the weapon as the show tool. When it comes to tournament, I know how to use it physically. I've learned the combat stuff. That's what we call fundamentals and basics, and that is what we train strictly in our school. But when you go outside of all the basics and fundamentals, that's where you can really find out, what can I do with this thing? Because there's more to it than just strikes, blocks, that type of stuff. And when you get around that first trick, the whole world opens up and it's like, wow, I can do more than just this and this and that and that. There's more to it. And it's fun. It's incredibly fun. And it's challenging. And it gets you outside of the norm, which I believe, I believe people that have been wiser than me, that have said these things in the past, that, greatness is just outside of your comfort zone. And I try to get out of my comfort zone as much as possible. I'm uncomfortable doing lives because I wasn't sure if anybody would actually show up. I wasn't sure anybody would ever, you know, pop in and say a single word. But I'm doing it because I feel like I have a story to tell. I feel like I have a message to get out. And I feel like I can do that no matter what the situation turns out to be. And I figure if I put myself out there and somebody happens to see this along the way and it helps one single person, then the job was done, And I can't take credit for everything I've learned and everything that I do. I can't, because it wasn't me. It was people that taught me. There were a lot of people that went into making me the martial artist and the person that I am. And, I can't take the credit. Yes, I have put in a ton of work. I've put in a ton of time, and I have, taken the blood, sweat, and tears quite literally. And I've put that into my art, and I've put that into my channel. And I've taken all of the gifts that I have, and I've put that out for all to see. And that's kind of what I wanted my channel to be. And that's what I want really all of my channels to be. I want them to be a way for people to maybe cut loose a little bit, have a little fun, find out that they're better than they think they are. Because most people really are. It's the truth. Most people are far better than they believe they are. I can't tell you how many times I do things in the school, outside of the school, and I have someone say to me, I could never do that. I could never do that. My immediate response is, yes, you could. You absolutely could, without question. Because I can. If I can, you can. I know how. I can teach you how. And I had to learn. It's not impossible to learn these things. It's actually pretty easy if you're willing to put in the time and effort. And I can do those things on these lives. I usually put them on videos because it's easier for me to script out and, decide, okay, this is the trick I'm going to teach today. And I'm going to get all of these parts in so that it's comprehensive, it's understood, and anybody can pick it up and be like, okay, if I do this part first, I can get to here. If I do that part second, I can get to there. And if I, really push, I can get all the way through. I put it in pieces that way because it's easier in videos. On lives, it's a little bit harder because you don't have the option of cut, edit, paste, this, that, and the other. You can get that perfect video, but you can't get that perfect live because, there's always anomalies that happen. For instance, tournament anomaly, I dropped. It's been 5 years since I've dropped a tournament, but I dropped. And it wasn't on a move that was overly difficult. It definitely wasn't the move I expected to drop on. The moves I expected to drop on were at the end of the form. And that form would have been about 1 minute and 9 seconds. I dropped in 10 seconds. So yeah, I was a little upset about it. I wasn't overly upset. I was just like, dang. But when those things happen, it's a little bit harder to do lives, because then I hate to say lose credibility, but when you're out there and people are seeing you as an expert, they expect you to be able to do everything on cue without fail. And it just doesn't work that way. That's not how real life is. Real life, there are failures along the way. There's failures during your lives, period. You know, yes, sometimes you get through them without making any mistakes, but many, many times you make many, many mistakes. And mistakes are not bad. Mistakes are never bad. Mistakes are how we learn and how we get better and how we grow. So I feel like there's an unnecessary pressure put on people when they are considered expert at something. And I don't like to put myself out there as an expert, just as a dude who wants to help teach people some cool stuff, some fun stuff, some stuff that'll elevate their being in many, many ways, most of which they won't understand until later. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what life is, man. Life is a bunch of mistakes. And so long as you learn from them, you improve, you get better and better and better. And it's that constant process of improvement that we always hope that at the end we've done enough and become good enough, which, quite honestly, good enough doesn't really exist. That's a figment of people's imaginations. Much like I hate to even get into this because this is a whole different rabbit hole. But if you look at everything that humans know, everything we know, it's all man-made. It's all man-discovered. It's not anything that we actually know. It's something that we created to help us understand our environment. Take our language. Okay, if we're speaking English, we have a certain alphabet, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. If you go to Russia, they have a completely different alphabet. It looks nothing like ours. It's man-made for them to understand it. English is man-made for us to understand it. Chinese, Japanese, all the different languages are picture positive proof that everything we know, we don't know, we created just to help us understand what goes on around us. And, if you really take that information and delve into it, you'll find that any one person could change it all. Anybody could change anything and everything. And, the rabbit hole would be, look up Terrence Howard. He's a movie actor. He was in the original Iron Man and then got subsequently removed from the next several films. There was a whole big argument about him because he has some very, very radical views. And, science tries to prove him wrong. He tries to prove science wrong. And, there's this back and forth. But if you realize that everything we know is man-developed, man-discovered, in an attempt to understand our surroundings, then you can understand that any human could find something else and explain everything better. There's a possibility that, maybe some of what Terrence Howard talks about is true. Maybe science has been wrong. Maybe this concept or that concept has been wrong and we just didn't know it. The great thing about science is you question the science to do science. That is one of my favorite quotes of all time. That's how you do science. You question it. Well, why not question everything? Question everything, because who knows? You might be the person that changes all of it for the better, hopefully. At least I hope that's the goal, is when you make change, you make it better. That's kind of my view, my hope. Uh, I've been through a lot in life, and I've seen some things that most people will never, ever, ever see in their entire life. When I was a kid, we lived in Germany. My dad was in the military, and we were stationed there. And we were there when the Berlin Wall came down. So we were there for history in the making. And I've seen all of the things that went along with, the concentration camps. I've seen how other people lived, how other cultures live. I've been all over Europe. I've been, England, Ireland. I saw the castles. I saw all these amazing things. And I feel like all of that has instilled in me a lot to offer. And I think everybody has a lot to offer if they're willing to do it. If they're willing to go out there and actually give those gifts to other people. It's not for us to hoard and say, I got this, I got this, I got this, this is all mine. No, it's to give it to the world. That's what those gifts are for. It's to put it out there and make something beautiful. And if any of this resonates with you, I hope you'll check out some of my stuff. I have over 500 videos on this channel. I have a gaming channel, Supershea Gaming, looks like that. I have a wrestling podcast. If you're into professional wrestling, it's called Geek Zone Wrestling. I have a board game, card game, geek game type stuff. I have a channel for that called Geekosity Podcast. My boys, they have their own gaming channels, ACMS Gaming and Cooldan 1211. I have a podcast that I do for this channel, The Martial Lifestyle, which I intend to record an edition of that later today. I have, what am I missing? I have so many channels, I've lost track. I do so much in the world of content creation. I kind of lose myself in it a little bit. And we also put up a brand new website. It's called toucheproductions.com. So if ever you want to find any of our channels, you can find them all there from all platforms. And it'll take you to whichever platform you want and show you everything we have to offer on those. What's your favorite trick that you have done over the years? You can answer this question later. So, no, I'll answer it right now. The favorite trick that I have ever completed was the angel drop. And that's one where I toss the staff up and then get underneath it, and it lands on this part of the arm, rolls down the arm, across the back, down the other arm, and ends up in my hand. That is my favorite trick so far. I am currently working on one called the monster roll. Well, it's called the monster roll, or it's called the matrix. Two different groups of people have those names for the move. But the monster roll, matrix, is a move that is a continuous roll around the body that you could do without stopping, and you could do multiple times without stopping. And it goes under the arm, up the shoulder, around the back, under this arm, up this shoulder, across the chest, and then back down under the arm. And you could literally keep doing it over and over and over. And it is super cool and super difficult. Unbelievably difficult. Like, I've been working on this move on and off for the better part of 2 or 3 years, and it is so tough. I also am at a disadvantage because the staff I use is not a contact staff. I use a demonstration tricking martial arts staff. Whereas contact staffers, they have a heavy staff that has like weighted ends, like there's a ball on each end that's kind of weighted and helps pull the momentum around. So it helps that staff keep moving. But I figure if I can do it with my martial arts staff, then that's harder because I don't have that weight differential helping me out. And I should be able to translate that over to a contact staff if ever I get the opportunity to do that. Uh, Contact staffs are not legal in our tournaments, weighted staffs and such. So that's why I use what I use when I'm doing my training and my videos. I want to do it with the weapon I'm going to be using at the tournament that I go to. So that is kind of the breakdown of what I use and why I use it. Contact staffs are beautiful. They also translate well into fire staff, which I am a huge fan of. I've never done, but I am a huge fan. I watch a lot of fire staff, a lot of fire performers, and I am always in awe of what they do. And I'll be honest, that has been the most favorable community to me is the fire community and the contact staff community. They have been the most supportive. Not even my own community, and that's disheartening. It's disheartening for me that martial artists hate on me, and these other groups have kind of taken me under their wing. It's like I throw a video out there and martial artists are like, oh, you're a baton twirler. Do something practical with that thing. Use a real staff, whatever. And then this other community is like, wow, that was really cool. Hey, try this and it'll make it even better. They're the helpful ones, the flow arts groups, the contact staff groups, the fire staff, fire performers. They are amazing people. I love them dearly, and I hope to communicate a lot more with them because they really have been incredibly helpful in my career, in my weapons career. They've taught me a ton, and they've given me resources. Hey, you should check this out. You should check that out, and that's where I end up finding most of the stuff that I do, unless I take parts of things that I've learned and put them together and say, hey, I wonder if I can do this. I wonder if I can do that. And that's really how it all starts, is you find something and you're like, hey, I wonder if I can make it do this. And I always, when I'm teaching somebody weapons tricking, I always start with that hand roll. You tilt the bow backwards and just so it's leaning a little bit over your hand, then you release and turn your hand over and grab it. And that, yeah, my own community, dude. And the sad part is, for me, the martial arts community is supposed to be a community all about respect. That's what we tout in our classes. That's what we teach to everybody is respect, self-respect, and respect for other people. And the most disrespect I get is from the martial arts community, which makes zero sense to me. And what makes what absolutely blows my mind is that it's usually traditional martial artists, the ones that are in those really, really strict, heavy, militant type of arts. And then there's, the MMA guys, that they're cage fighters and that's what they do. And, I get what they're saying, but I don't do what they do, so I really don't care. They're doing cage fighting stuff. I'm doing weapon stuff. If you're a cage fighter, all they're about is attack, and if I'm holding a weapon and you're not, and you're running at me, I'm not gonna toss my weapon. I'm gonna hit you with it. But that's not my goal. That is not my goal at all on this channel. My goal on this channel is to educate, have fun, build confidence, and breed more wonderful people that I have seen on many, many different channels, many, many different communities. I want more of that. I want people to go out and help other people. I want to make things better for everyone that does this, and I want to help people that have never done this learn how to. Uh, and hopefully spread some good vibes, some heartfelt positivity to the world. That's where I feel like my presence is to be. I feel like I should be putting positivity out because the rest of the world is throwing negativity, you know, and it's sad. It's sad that the world is so negative and puts out more negative than positive. They promote negativity before they promote positivity, and I get it because negativity sells. That's where ratings are. That's where money is. You throw something out there and it'll sell because it's controversial. I don't want to be that. I want to be the other side of the coin. I want to be the positive side of the coin that puts out the good stuff in the world. So if ever you have something, positive, something wonderful, I want to see it. I want to hear it. Put it on your channel. Put it on my channel. I don't care. Shoot me a message. I have all kinds of ways that I can be contacted, and I will promote it. I don't care. This channel has never been about me. It never has. It was never the intent. It never will be the intent. This channel is about spreading positive vibes, positive skills, positive influences. That's what it's about. That's what it always has been about. That's what it always will be about. And I don't care where the positivity comes from. I just want to see it show up, and I want to see it flourish. I want to see good things happen in the world. I want to see people find things that they never thought they could do and start really, really pushing at it and flourishing from it. If I've taught anybody anything, it's that life is a choice. Your attitude is a choice, and it's the only choice you really have. When I get up in the morning, I don't have a choice what the weather's going to be like. I don't have a choice what traffic is going to be like. I don't have a choice on 90% of what's going on. But I do have a choice on my attitude about it and how I react to it. And the way I react to it is what's going to feed back to me, right? So when somebody asks me, how are you doing? My answer is always phenomenal. Number one, because that's actually how I'm feeling. And number two, if I put out positivity, then that's going to breed more positivity. And I've seen this in action. I really have. When I go to my bank to put in my check, the teller's always, that's the first thing they ask. How you doing? Phenomenal. And how about yourself? And their answer is always, something like, I don't know about phenomenal, but I'm doing all right. And over the course of the last year, and this is no joke, no exaggeration, when I go to the bank now, they're like, hi, how are you? I'm phenomenal. How about yourself? I'm doing phenomenal also. And it's just this magical thing that if you put it out, the world can take hold and they can start feeling the same way. It's that whole fake it till you make it type of mentality. If I tell myself I'm doing phenomenal, eventually I'm going to forget that I wasn't doing phenomenal in the first place, and eventually I'm really actually doing phenomenal. And when you wake up with that mentality that I'm going to do phenomenal things today. I'm going to feel phenomenal. I'm going to bring positivity to the world. Then things around you, and I don't know how this works, but the universe starts to look for those things and throw it in your way. They start to throw those positive things in front of you. And all of a sudden, you're finding more positive and more positive and more positive. And it just, but I am going to do this from time to time. And if I do come up with a day by day schedule, then I will. Sorry about that. I had a phone call come in, and I didn't answer it. But while it was ringing, I think it cut off. Uh, but I've gone way over what I intended to. Um but I'm hoping that, well, I am going to continue to do these just A, for fun, and B, to chit chat, and C, uh, if I put things out in different methods, maybe something will get out there to people that otherwise wouldn't have seen it. Um, my hope is to bring good stuff to the world, and I'm gonna, if I come up with a schedule for doing lives, I'll put it out there. But as of right now, I don't really have a schedule in mind. I'm just gonna keep doing it periodically and see what happens. But thank you all for joining in. I'm gonna skedaddle. I have a few other things to do. But thank you so much for coming in, Kiwi, and everybody else that did. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will be back on at some point. I'm not sure when yet. Probably sometime, later this week. We'll see. But thank you so much. Hope y'all have a phenomenal, awesome day.